Yo, what is oh my god, I messed that up so badly. What is up, everybody? Welcome in. Today we have a podcast with traders of the Lost Ark. Let me just check on that real quick. But how we doing, guys? Wait for people in. But how you doing? How are you doing? Put it right there. Okay. Um. Okay. So. Hello. Can you hear me, traders? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay.
How's it going?
So what's up? Doing well. Doing well. What about you? So, in today's podcast, me and traders will be talking about the modern Pokemon market. He'll mostly be talking on it because pretty sure he has more knowledge on it than me. It's from us talking prior to this. So, John Park, what's up, John? How you doing, John? But, but, oof, okay. So, traders.
Yo,
How
yo.
are So we might as well just get started as into this. So, what do you think, or what do you have to say first, or like introduce yourself, or say your channel name
Yeah,
or anything?
sure. So our channel is called Traders of the Lost Ark. My name is Paul. I've been around trading card games in general since I was 11. I'm 31 now, so 20 years. Um, I started off with a little bit of Pokemon back when I was super young, and then I transitioned over to um, pretty competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! To the extent that I was traveling pretty much all over the world for events. Did really well there. Things of that nature. Stayed with Yu-Gi-Oh for a while. Then after that, I went to Dragon Ball Super. When Dragon Ball Super came out, I just enjoyed Dragon Ball in general as a show and as a card game. So did that, and really enjoyed Pokemon all the way through to Sun and Moon. And that's really Sun and Moon's kind of what got me to be really passionate about Pokemon again in terms of collecting. Then I took a little bit of a break. Was getting married and just settling down and things like that, and then got the green light to go back to Pokemon for my wife. So I've been back in the Pokemon scene since Brilliant Stars. But I've always kind of been aware of what's going on competitively and what's going on from the collector standpoint. Obviously, during COVID, I think even people that didn't know anything about Pokemon started realizing how big of a market it really is. So yeah, our channel, provides live pack breaks on Wednesdays. You could find that on our website, tradersoftheLostArk.shop. And then there's normally two videos that go up per week. One video is going to be from the competitive standpoint of Pokemon, and the second video tends to be about the market or collectors or cards to look out for, um, product breaks. Is it worth it to break certain products, pack breaks, things like that. So that's really what we're trying to offer. We're trying to offer a little bit different of a perspective from somebody that knows the competitive side really, really well, and as well also knows the collector side really well.
So what? So I know yesterday you were talking about just stuff about the market. What do you know really that like other creators or not creators or like other collectors don't or you don't think know?
Yeah, so I think I think a big part of Pokemon, people tend to look for big money very quickly. And I think that that's just kind of what's happened now with people's mentality in 2023, because they saw people make a lot of money really quickly during COVID, whether it was from the stock market or whether it was from the Pokemon boom. But I think that we have to understand that we're getting back to like a state of normalcy a little bit, where not just because this card is the biggest card in the set is this card going to just skyrocket. It's very rare that we see a modern Pokemon card just go through the roof, right? And I think that even the past few sets have shown us this. Just because something goes through the roof in Japan doesn't mean it's going to go through the roof here in the TCG. You look at Miriam from last set. Everybody was thinking that card's going to be
Yeah.
a $200 card. Now that card is sitting at 50 and is on a downward trajectory. You look at Miraidon, Koraidon. You look at the SARs. So I think people need to do their due diligence and their research to understand why cards go down and why cards go up. There are certain cards that are going to go up because they're harder to pull. Maybe they're more exclusive. Maybe it's a really good Pokemon that has a strong fan base, a strong waifu character, for example, like Lily, like we're seeing right now, which is a completely different subject altogether. Um, but I think that those are things that people need to understand. And what I'm here to kind of teach people is you have other opportunities to make money and to grow your collection in Pokemon. And I think the things that I think are the biggest missed opportunities are bulk and are cards that are sitting in between that $5 to $15 range. That's what I call mid tier. They're not exactly upper tier, super hard to get cards, but they're more mid tier. You see them around, you have opportunities to buy them, but you normally pass them up because they're not your chase card, so to speak. Um, so yeah, I guess we could just talk about each one of those real quick. With bulk, um, people don't understand how much money's sitting in their bulk, right? When I first opened up my business in December, I had about 10K worth of bulk from my old Yu-Gi-Oh days. And when I was kind of going through them, I didn't know what was really worth money or wasn't worth money. So I did take the time to like go through TCG Player and look at my bulk, sorted my bulk alphabetically, and just saw what was worth money, what was not worth money. And I was very surprised to see that some of the bulk cards that when I had left Yu-Gi-Oh were 10 cents were now worth $7, $8. Um, and it was literally because people started playing older formats from Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, whether that was in their local card game stores or elsewhere. So those cards were picking up play again. So people needed copies of those cards for those decks. And very similar in the Pokemon TCG, you have people that need bulk cards for their decks, but the only way that any one of us that doesn't keep up with the competitive play would know that the Iono that we just packed is worth $1.50 is if somebody told us that Iono is worth $1.50. Otherwise, we just throw it into a box and say, "Oh, whatever. It's not shiny. It's not going to be worth much." So, I think understanding the competitive play of things in a trading card game is very important towards your bulk. Um, Cards like Iona, and this is what I do: is that I even go on TCG Player, and I'll go to the advanced search, and I'll just search up commons and uncommons that are 50 cents or more, and you'll get a list of a bunch of commons. Like I just did that right now. You have Ionos for $1.50, Nest Balls for 80 cents, Battle VIP passes for $1.50, Reversal Energies for 65 cents, Jet Energies for 50 cents, Switch Cards for $1. When local game stores are only offering you a penny per common, and you just gave up an Iono, that's 150 of those penny cards for that one Iono. So just understanding how to grow the value of your bulk is, I think, very crucial, and it's a missed opportunity for a lot of people. The obvious question is, and I get asked this all the time, Paul, where can I move my bulk for these prices? What I tend to do is I have a TCG Player account, and I think that a lot of people need to open up a TCG Player account because the easiest way to move this bulk is through TCG Player when they're a quarter or more. When they're less than a quarter, after the fees and the shipping and things like that, is just not worth it. But when they're a quarter or more, you tend to be making right around 50 cents per card after shipping and fees and whatnot. So are you going to get the full $1.50? No, you're not going to get the full $1.50, but at least you're getting more than a penny for that card. So imagine doing that now, trading out an Iono for just a normal bulk card and doing that 50 times, 100 times, 200 times. And all of a sudden you're sitting on $100 or $150 worth of bulk that you didn't know that you had. And that's getting you, when we're talking about $100 or $150, that's a Charizard V Alt Art from Brilliant Stars, right? That's a card that you can now buy
Yeah.
outright because you had Iono's, Nest Balls, Battle VIP passes. Um, and there's a ton of people that don't know what their bulk is worth. And I think that that's a really big missed opportunity. I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to that, but
Um. Well, from experience for sure. I tried to sort my bulk one night, and that took me around 3 hours just to sort of between commons, uncommons, and rares, and that's just one box of 3,000 cards. So, and I still haven't gone through them to check if they're over a quarter or if they're 10 cents or whatever. But I've made videos in the past as well of just like what bolt to look for or like V's as well. I know how like that Drapion V is like 384, right? Because it's like playable.
Yeah, yeah,
I know that, and after same with that Raikou and Entei, those ones from Brilliant Stars. I know those ones, but for sure. So if you like list like so say that you have 10 Ionos or so like when you're listing things, do you like charge shipping or is it all free? Like how do
yeah.
you like do it?
So once you build up your TCG Player account, the shipping settings they can change depending on how many sales you have, if you're a verified seller and things like that. So more often than not, you're going to have to charge shipping. The way that my account works is I'm verified now. Is once you reach $5 or more, shipping's included. But with your bulk card specifically, and this is something that people don't know, take Nest Ball for example. Nest Ball is an 80 cent common right now from Scarlet and Violet base. If I listed 5 of those, right, for 80 cents a piece, somebody would drop $4 on that or whatever it is, and they would have the shipping added on to make it a $5 order. Now think about it. If I only post one nest ball at a time, it's going to be $1.80 each time. So these are things that people don't know that they can do with TCG Player. That it's not taking advantage of anything. It's literally listing one of your bulk cards at a time. Because if I was to post right now 10 copies of a 25 cent card that should, after shipping, get me $1.25, realistically, they're going to get 10 copies of it for $2.50 plus shipping, which is $3.50. Whereas I would be getting paid $1.25 for each time that they purchase one of them. So that's now $12.50. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
so
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 with
say that you
yeah,
have $1.25 card and you have 15 of them. You don't list it in quantities. You list it just as singular ones.
yes,
So
yes. I
then,
list it one at a time, so that shipping is charged each time. Because what people don't know is shipping is expensive. Like when you put a card into a penny sleeve and then in a top loader and then in an envelope and then stamp that envelope and send it out, you're paying somewhere around 85 cents each time if you're buying things in bulk. When I buy top loaders, I buy thousands of them at a time. When I buy bubble mailers and envelopes, I'm buying thousands of them at a time. When I'm buying stamps, I'm buying them in bulk as well, because that's really the only way that you can be cost effective in terms of shipping out bulk. If you were to just go to the post office and say, hey, I need this to get stamped and shipped out, they're going to charge you for an envelope at a different rate than if you were to buy it in bulk. Like when I buy my envelopes in bulk, I'm buying them somewhere around 3 cents each. If you go to the post office and ask them for an envelope or whatever it is, they might charge you 50 cents or $1 for that one envelope. And you're now shipping out $1 card for something that costs you more than $1 to ship out. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like shipping's expensive. So one of the best ways to, counteract how much you're paying in shipping through TCG Player when you're selling bulk is to sell them one at a time. And if you look at all the big sellers on TCG Player, they're doing the same exact thing. You won't see places like Core TCG or Unlimited Games or things like that listing 450 Ionos, even though I know for a fact that they have over 500 Ionos in their bulk box. They're listing them one at a time, and the second that one of them sells, the same person that fulfills that order goes in and lists another one. Um, so is it a little bit more work? Sure, but when you're selling your bulk specifically, we're talking about pennies. Like pennies matter when you're selling that quantity of an item. If you're just selling one big card, then okay, you don't have to worry about that as much, obviously. But that brings up a whole different issue. I would never sell bigger cards on TCG Player because the fees are ridiculous. Like it gets super expensive. Um, but in bulk specifically, this is just my tip to anybody opening up a TCG Player. For your bulk specifically, list them one at a time. If you're sitting on 50 Battle VIP passes, do not list 50 of them. List one. If you want to list two of them even at a time, you can list two, no problem. But my recommendation is to list one at a time.
and so when that one sells, just it's like an endless process. Sell, relist, sell, relist, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right.
And then
Exactly right.
after,
And
sorry to cut you off, or did you want
no,
to
you're good.
say something with that as well?
No, I mean, I know that it's a little bit more work, but you're talking about an extra dollar every single time. So if I told you that it's going to take you an extra 20 seconds, but you're going to get a dollar out of that 20 seconds, I think all of us would do that.
So say that I start an account right after this. How do
Yep.
you stand out from other sellers that you're trying to get more sales? Or okay, how do you like stand out when others are doing the exact same thing than you?
Yeah, so I think on TCG Player it is harder to stand out, but I think that at the end of the day, people are looking for cards at the best price. So number one, there's two things that come to it. If you're a brand new TCG Player account, naturally you're going to be at a disadvantage because you're not a verified seller. So to become a verified seller, you have to have 100 sales minimum with 5-star feedback on those 100 sales. So what I do is I really focus on making sure that the second that I get an order, I'm fulfilling it the very next day. I don't want anybody to possibly say it took 2 weeks for this car to get to me. It wasn't packaged properly. You know, I think that those are the big things. So becoming a verified seller is important. But if you're not a verified seller, the best thing that you can do is just list your bulk at reasonable prices, even the lowest price possible. You might have to lose a few cents here or there compared to what the market is showing you that the card is worth, but that's how you're going to build up your account. The same exact way, like if you're just a new business, you might have to do things at a loss to build up your customer base. It's the same exact principle here. You might have to sell an Iono for $1.20 when the next cheapest one is $1.25, but know that that $1.20 card is going to sell immediately. As long as you fulfill that 100 times and you become verified, you're going to be good to go from there.
Should you also like sell reverse foils? So like say that I have
Yeah,
Iono
yeah,
reverse Nest Ball as well.
definitely,
Do people
definitely.
want them more than an actual comic because they look better or cooler, or how that work?
Yeah, so that's a good question. That's a good question, right? So you have the people that want to quote unquote make their deck baller, and they want the highest rarity of things. But then when they start realizing that 4 gold Nets balls are going to cost them 60 or $80, guess what rarity they go to?
Reverse.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like I'm kind of baller, but I'm not really baller. It's like I don't have $60 worth of nest balls in my deck, but I got like they're still hollow. So haha. I'm not playing commons. So reverse foils definitely do sell. And what we forget sometimes is that there's a lot of people that are looking to master set a lot of these sets. So guess what people that are master setting need? They need reverse foils of all these cards. So reverse foils sell just as well as commons do. And there's even sometimes on rare occasions where the reverse foil might be easier to get than the common. I'll give you this set, for example, Paldea Evolved. I've opened now probably 8 to 10 booster boxes of Paldea Evolved, maybe even more. I'm not even sure, to be honest, between loose packs and booster boxes. And the number of jet energies in reverse that I've gotten versus the number of jet energies in just non reverse common that I've gotten, I've probably gotten double the number of reverse foils as normal. And that's why even if you look at the market for jet energy, it's very reflective of that. The price for jet energies that are normal market is 53 cents and reverses are 52 cents. It's very rare that you see that reverse foils are cheaper than the normal common card. But there are instances where that does exist, and you just have to be aware of those instances as well.
So, for example, so say that if I wanted to, so because I remember one time when I went to my LGS, like this guy, he only had reverses, and after he had like a full art Marnie, he had like two of those. He had like an alt art. I think it was a alt art Calyrex VMAX. I think the Ice Rider. I'm pretty
Sure.
sure as well. So like people like they wanna like they wanna feel like they're like I don't know what word I can say for it, but
They want to
they
pimp out
wanna
their deck.
feel
They
like
want to
cool
pimp
with
out their
it.
deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like to
Yeah,
like spaz it
100%.
out.
Like even me when we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, I'll give you an example, right? When we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, there was a format called Teledad format. Teledad format, our deck naturally, like lowest rarity was like $750 just for the deck. Highest rarity, you're looking at like $2,500. That's for one deck. I'm not talking about like for a collection. I'm talking about for one deck that you're playing in a tournament. So people, when somebody sits across from you at the table and they see that your deck is pimped out, there's a sense of almost like intimidation. It's there's a sense of like, oh, this dude knows what he's doing. He's been around. The fact that he's about it, he's playing with first edition secret dark arm dragons, this and that, like all these things, right? There are people that think about these things. So yes, you're always going to have players that want to pimp out their deck, and especially in Pokemon, because you have cards like Ultra Ball that have been printed God knows how many times, but somebody that shows up with an Ultra Ball from 2002 secret rare this and that,
Like Plasma Storm.
exactly, they're sitting on a $150 Ultra Ball. That's a little bit different than somebody playing a common Ultra Ball. There's some players that will feel intimidated by that. Obviously, when you get to the really top tier of competitive play, you play a common Ultra Ball, you play a secret rare Ultra Ball, guess what? It's doing the same exact thing. Discard two, search a Pokemon. Like, it's doing the same exact thing. But there's a different kind of level to that thing. So people definitely look to pimp out their decks, so to speak. And it's just nicer to look at. Like, I'm playing Gardevoir right now, and I have gold super rides from Paldea Evolved in there because it's nice. Like, it's just nice to see a gold super rod, a gold rare candy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Could I make more money if I just sold them? Sure, of course I could. But the competitive player doesn't always just think about, yeah, I can sell this rare candy for $14. Like, no, they're thinking, no, I want these gold rare candies in my deck.
Well, because also like, so say that, okay, is it better to sell on eBay or TCG Player, for example? Because I was trying to sell my Garchomp V Trainer Gallery because I already have one, and I didn't get any money. So I was like, okay, sure. I put it on eBay. I was like, no, eBay this and that. Do you think it's better to sell on TCG Player or eBay?
So eBay as a company actually bought out TCG Player, and it should tell you enough that they didn't disband TCG Player. TCG Player is the number one card game selling platform in the world. So if you're looking to sell a card quickly, for sure it's TCG Player. Like, no question about it. Um, Understand that when you're selling cards that are like less than $5, the fees are expensive. Like, they'll take like 30%, but you don't really care because it's bulk. You're just happy to get money for it. Um, and as you go to more expensive cards, like I just sold, for example, a Sol Galeo and Lunala GX from Sun and Moon. It's a very popular card right now because it has Lily on it. That card, I sold it for $250 on TCG Player just 2 days ago. After fees and shipping and everything, I cleared $215. So the fees were something around 15%, and my shipping was about $5. Um, so when you're thinking about things like this, TCG Player knows that if people want to sell efficiently and quickly, that they are the best market. So you're going to get hit with fees. But that's why my answer is always, if you are patient and you don't need the money today and you're not worried about cards going up and down in price, then okay, if you want to go to eBay, if you want to try to find people in Discord, if you want to sell on Facebook Marketplace, there's all those things. But TCG Player also gives you that protection as well. Like, they really do protect the buyer and the seller pretty well. I'm now, I'll go to my seller portal real quick, and I'll tell you that for me personally, the number of disputes or arguments that anybody's ever had over anything that I've sold have probably been once because something was damaged in the mail due to a storm, and I just refunded that person and it was done with. And TCG Player is very open to those kinds of things. And I have 5 stars on 2,152 feedbacks. So I think that tells you a lot about TCG Player from the buyers and the sellers. Buyers that are happy are going to keep coming back, and sellers that are happy are going to keep selling.
And that's what we're saying, like, but like before, it's a two-tailed thing. Like both people get good things in the end of it.
100%. Always, always. And I think, people don't realize how much you have to hustle in trading card games, especially when you're dealing with bulk, which is why I tell people don't wait to sort out your bulk. Like if you're opening a whole bunch of packs that day or whatever it is, even my wife now knows this. Whenever we're opening up packs, she puts the commons in one stack, the uncommons in another, the rares, reverses, hollows, hits, like trainers. People don't even realize is the average person that collects Pokemon that doesn't know about the competitive side will think that the Pokemon characters, not the trainers, are worth more money. Most decks in the competitive TCG play between 30 to 35 trainer cards. That's more than half of your deck in trainer cards. So guess what? Where a lot of your money in your bulk is going to be?
Exactly for trainers.
It's going to be in your trainers. So always separate your trainers. Like always separate your trainers. Like you even look at the most expensive bulk for Paldea Evolved. Guess what cards? Iono, Reversal Energy, Jet Energy, right? You have these cards that are very clear. It's none of the Pokemon. None of the Pokemon that are bulk are expensive in Paldea Evolved. And then it's also another thing that we need to talk about, even outside of bulk, is just like mid tier cards that people don't even know are worth money. So right now, you have a card like Chin Pao EX. It's a normal ultra rare card. We would consider it a bulk V if it was part of the Sword and Shield era set. That card is more expensive right now than a lot of the gold rare cards in the set. It's a $10 to $11 ultra rare. Not a full art, not an SAR, just a normal ultra rare.
Yeah, I seen that. I have it right here actually.
You see what I'm saying?
I
So
pulled
people are
it.
packing this card like, oh, it's not some expensive card. No, see, you don't even know what you have. You have an $11 ultra rare in your hand right now, right? So if you want to go and sell that on TCG Player, you're going to clear $8 to $9 from a card that, if you don't sell it now, and that card rotates out in a year or 2 years, guess what happens to that $10 or $11 card? It's worth 50 cents. Yeah, it's worth 50 cents. And that's why I'm saying that people really need to keep up with competitive play when it comes to the bulk and the mid-tier cards, because those cards' values are not coming from collectors. They're coming from competition. Like even Pokemon, when they choose to reprint a set, they're not reprinting a set because, collectors need more of this. That's not why. It's actually because the players need more access to those cards. They care about growing the player base, not the collector base. And sometimes we forget this. They're not paying attention to how expensive slabs are selling for. They're not paying attention to how much a Moonbryon is. They don't care. That's not in their best interest. Their best interest is to grow the game, because they know if for every one Moonbryon that they put into Evolving Skies, they can sell, let's say 100 booster boxes of Paldea Evolved, where people need 4 Ionos and 4 Reversal Energies and 4 Jet Energies and all these cards. And it's exactly why bulk cards are ratioed the way that they are in booster boxes. If you open up a booster box of Paldea Evolved today, you will not get more than 2 to 3 Ionos. Let's say that you want to play 4 of them. What do you have to do? You either have to go buy it bulk, or you got to open up another box. Like, that's what you have to do. So Pokemon's not stupid. Sometimes we forget this and we think that like they don't know what they're doing. They're just printing things to hell and this and that. Like that's not the case. They know exactly what's going on. They know that a set like Paldea Evolved, they came out and said straight up, they came out and said that it's short printed. Well, short printed in comparison to what? In comparison to a modern set. It's not short printed like we see Team Up. It's not like to that extent of short print. It's a short print in comparison to, Scarlet and Violet base, in comparison to Brilliant Stars, in comparison to all these Sword and Shield sets. Does that mean that they won't reprint it? I can almost guarantee you Paldea Evolved will be reprinted. Why? Because a lot of the decks that are competitive right now are drawing a lot of their cards from Paldea Evolved. So when players start getting trouble accessing the cards they need for their decks, Pokemon has to come to the rescue, because they need players playing. They need regionals to be filled. They need big tournaments to be filled. They need that. So sometimes we just forget this. And that's okay for us to forget this, but that's why somebody like me exists, to just give a friendly reminder.
So, I seen Trez, how he was saying that he only knows how to buy and not really sell. So does so like as in like so say like how you were saying earlier, like if you want to be patient or anything like that with a selling though, like how fast do really like your orders, like so say that you like list a card, how fast does it usually like sell by?
It depends on what price you're going to go for. If you want to come in at a competitive price, meaning that you're going to match the lowest price that's available, you're going to sell it. If it's an in demand card, you're going to sell it probably the same day. Like Paldea Evolve just got released on TCG Player last weekend. Between last weekend and this weekend, I've had probably 180 orders that I've had to fulfill. And I'm not considered a big seller on TCG Player by any means, right? And guess what a lot of those orders had? Ionos, superior energy retrievals, right? Jet
Yeah.
energies, reversal energies. A lot of those orders had those cards in it, right? And people are paying top dollar for it because there's regionals coming up and there's tournaments coming up. So the players that are going to compete in their locals and in their tournaments need the cards like now. They need the cards right now. So for me, as long as you're willing to sell it at what the lowest price is that it's going for, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna turn around your sales pretty quickly. The question is, don't worry about, and this is something I tell people all the time. Don't worry about how quickly you're gonna sell it. Ask yourself, how quickly can I fulfill it? Because if you're the type that's not gonna fulfill the order for a few days after you get it and things like that, that's not gonna be good for you, especially if you're a new seller.
It's a bad, really bad like reputation for it. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's something that I always work on is that anytime that anybody buys from us, whether it's on TCG Player or even our website, or on Discord or whatever it is, or Instagram or any place else that we might sell, I make sure, I have a full 9 to 5. I'm married, things like that. I got a ton of other things to do. I make sure that I stay up that extra hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, and I get that order fulfilled. Because I would want that same thing. If I'm purchasing a card, I would hope that the person would also try to get me that card as quickly as possible because at this point they have my money. So the only way to make this deal finished is for me to have my card. So you would hope that that person is treating it in that same exact way. Um, okay, I have your money. I'm able to put it into my bank account. Great. Here's your card. Like it should be that seamless. But unfortunately, a lot of people will, you're always going to have people on TCG Player and any platform that will take advantage of the situation. Iono, for example, Iono release weekend went down as low as $95, right?
It went
A
to like
couple days
80. I'm
after
pretty
release.
sure like on because like last week on Friday, I remember putting on a post on my story. I was like, oh, will Iona go down like Miriam? And most people who actually like replied on my story, they said yeah. Because it was I'm pretty sure it was like $80 ish or like 79, and now it's at like 134 I think. So
Yeah,
it's
and
gone
not
back
even just
up.
134, but it went all the way up to about 165. So if you think about the people that, you have a lot of these bigger sellers that they do pre-sales, right? And then they know that after pre-sales, release weekend happens. What happens to the prices of a lot of these cards is it tanks,
Yeah,
right? Because people realize, okay, there's a lot more out there on the market. I can't charge what I was charging, so I need to start charging less. So then it turns into a competition of who's the lower price, and that's why the price goes down. But guess what happens eventually when there's not that many left on the market?
they go
It
up.
surges right back up. And that's exactly what happened with a card like Iono, is that it went down to that, let's say 80, $85, whatever it was. It went all the way right back up to 155, and now it's kind of staying stable at that 130 to 135 range. So a lot of big sellers that had them listed for 100 or $105 that might have sold to people on TCG Player for 105, they'll go back to that buyer and they'll tell them, sorry, we're not able to fulfill that order because we oversold on that item. That's not always the truth. A lot of times they'll tell that person that because they realize 2 days later it's going for 155. So guess what they want to do? They want to relist that item for 155.
And then get more money for it.
And then exactly. So they're going to refund that order for 105. the buyer at this point is pissed because they were going to get a card that's worth 155 for 105.
Yeah, for
I sold an Iono during release weekend for 110. Was that good for me or bad for me? At the time, it was good for me.
Yeah,
but I care more for my customer being happy than for me pocketing an extra 25 or 30 bucks. There's a difference in priorities. These bigger sellers, because they have tens of thousands of feedback, will happily take one bad buyer feedback because they know in the big scheme of things, it's not going to matter. Yeah. Exactly. People are still going to see someplace like, I don't want to use names to throw people under the bus, but let's just say a huge company with, 50,000 plus, feedback.
You feel
on
like
TCG
way
players.
more like comfortable like buying from that, like compared to like something like way down there, probably two sales, no feedback. Like, oh, well, like it's scanned, this and that. So
exactly. And I think that's the big point. I think that the big point is exactly what you just said. Is that because these guys have so much feedback, they can take advantage of the market. Yeah. So when things skyrocket and they sold something for cheaper, guess what they're going to do? They're probably going to cancel your order. They're probably going to cancel your order and tell you we don't have it to fulfill. And guess what's going to happen? They're just going to relist it for that bigger price. And even if you leave them bad feedback, it's going to take that to happen thousands of times for it to actually affect them on that platform. So, it's sad. It's sad that this kind of thing exists, but that's why I think it's so important for us as a community to understand, the rules of this game. Like, we need to all be aware of what's going on and not just go in with a certain level of being naive and not knowing that this is what some of these guys do. Like, if you see a too good to be true price on TCG Player, definitely do it. Purchase it. Definitely purchase it because you're going to be protected. And the worst thing that will happen to you is that they might tell you, hey, we can't fulfill it, and they're going to cancel your order. Okay, leave your bad feedback and move on. But if they do end up fulfilling it in good conscience, then that's great for you. It's a win-win for you as a buyer. Obviously, you might not get the card, but worst case scenario, you're going to get your money back.
So I also have a question as well. So,
sure.
Personally, me as a creator, of course, I open up like a ton of product.
Yeah.
What do you do with massive amounts of code cards? So, because I've been wondering this for a while, because do code cards really sell though?
Yeah, so code cards are interesting, right? Is that you have a couple of different things. If you're not the type that plays competitively, then obviously you have no need for code cards, right?
Yeah.
So if you were just to go on TCG Player right now and type in Paldea Evolved code card, just type that in, you're going to see that Paldea Evolved code cards, right, just from a normal booster pack, are selling for 10 cents each. Guess what? You don't have to ship those. So when they say 10 cents,
so then they pay that, or like they pay that with like those fees. It's like under $5 too.
Yeah, so you're gonna get hit with fees, which is probably you're gonna end up clearing like 7 or 8 cents per code card. But if I told you that you have a stack of 100 code cards from Paldea Evolved, right? That's $7 or $8 right there. Why not just do it? And all you have to do when an order comes through is take a picture of the code cards and send it to the buyer via email. That's what I do. Whenever I'm selling code cards, that's what I tend to do is I'll ask the person that purchased for their email address. They'll send it for me, and I'll send them pictures of their code cards. I'll put like 10 or 15 in frame, send a picture, and I will send it via email, confirm that they received it, and the order is done.
Like I have like all of these, and I just had like no clue like what to do with them. Like there's like Evolving
Bro, I hear you. I'm literally sitting next to a stack of like 5,000 to my left hand right now.
I don't know. But also, I mean, while you were talking, I sorted out all of my trainers from Paldea. Also, I'm gonna for sure try that out as well. And also too, so like I know how there was like Drizzles from Social Base, how they were around $7 and another like I think two.
Yeah.
2-ish now. Would it still be worth to keep them since they'll probably plummet anyways, or just to sell?
Just to sell them. And this is where I talk about finding a good LGS, right? I think that people need to know their community and find a really good local game store in their community. A local game store that's willing to buy bulk, number one, and a local game store that's not going to take advantage of you as the person that's selling the bulk. If you're a good repeat customer at that local game store, you're going to get taken care of. And what do I mean by that? When we have a ton of bulk that is not bulk that we can sell on TCG Player because it's just cards that are not that good or whatever it is, when we go to our local game store, most local game stores will buy bulk at a penny each. Most. The super grimy ones will buy it for like a half a cent each, and the super nice ones will buy it for like a cent and a half each. And I know it sounds weird saying half a cent, but half a cent matters when you're selling things in quantities of 10,000, right? So find a local game store that's willing to buy your bulk, and is also willing to give you different prices depending on your bulk. Like the place that I sell my bulk at for my local game store, my super cheap bulk, will give me a penny each for my commons and uncommon Pokemon. Will give me from my normal rares will give me 3 cents each. For my holo rares will give me 5 cents each. Um, for my reverse foil commons, they'll give me 8 cents each, and my reverse foil rares they'll give me 10 cents each. So me having my stuff sorted, ready to go when I go there helps a lot. And a lot of local game stores will also add 10 or 15% to the number if you're willing to keep it in store credit. And that's kind of one thing I want to touch upon here is store credit is something that's really, really, really good to have. And I'll tell you why. When certain products hit the market and they're not easy to find, right? Or certain singles hit the market and they're not easy to find, having $250 in store credit at a local game store due to all the bulk that you've been selling them is a really good thing to have in your back pocket, right? Like if I told you, hey, you could just turn these random code cards or these random bulk cards that you're sitting on into a $250 gift card in your wallet right now for your local game store, would you do it?
I would. I would.
I think everybody would. Number one, we don't have to worry about our bulk anymore. We don't have to sit there with a bunch of boxes of cards in our closets, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't take up as much
Yeah.
space. Number one. Number two, you're creating a better reputation between yourself and that local game store. You're creating a good relationship there. Down the line, they know that number one, whenever new sets come out, you tend to open product. You're going to bring them bulk cards that their players are looking for and that other young collectors are looking for and things like that. And you don't have to deal with the headache, and you're just getting money for it. So understanding that you can turn your bulk into not just money, like let's say that you're not planning on going back to that LGS, then yeah, sure, take the cash and cash out, no problem. It's better than nothing. But that's why I'm saying be a part of your community. Like really get to know your local game store, build it up in store credit. If you sit there with a 5K box of commons, that can turn into an Iono SAR very easily, very very easily. Um, just depending on the bulk that's in there. So that's why I really talk about understanding the competitive side of things, like the Drizzile example that you brought up. Yeah, Drizzile was a very competitive card. It's not anymore. If you're able to get $1 or $2 for it today, you should. Because the next time that it's going to be worth over $2 is going to be 20 years from now when it's considered vintage.
Another question is that what do you think of like master sets with that bulk? Like do you think that people should or like for example, so say that do you think that it's worth if I build a whole entire binder of bulk with every single reverse in there as well and hollow, but have no EXs, no SRs, no R rares, no anything like that, and sell it? Would it be like worth it for someone to sell it like that?
If it's every card in the history of Pokemon, then yeah. But if it's just like for a set, like let's say you just told me, hey, I have a master set of bulks and of bulk commons, reverses, those kinds of things for Paldea Evolved, nobody's gonna want that in my opinion. Um, it would have to be of a set where those cards are legitimately hard to find, like Neo Destiny, Neo
Yeah, sure.
Genesis.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
would
no,
have to
yeah,
be a
yeah, I do.
set
I
where
do.
those things are actually very difficult to find. But for modern Pokemon, I think that people look for the big cards. Like if I told you, for example, that I have a Crown Zenith Master set and I took out all the hits, Would you be interested in buying that?
Not at all.
Exactly.
But that
Exactly,
would kind
right?
of also though kind of like give like the person like excitement kind of because kind of like the hard job is kind of already done and all they have to do is just put it in that. No.
Sure, sure, where it's like organized or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
realistically speaking, a lot of that those comments and those reverses, they can get those. Like if I was to go on my Discord or anybody's Discord, like I'm a vault trader on PokeVault's Discord, for example, right? Not to name drop, but when I'm on there and I'm buying or I'm doing trades, if I'm missing certain cards from my master sets or I'm missing certain just throw-ins or things like that, most people that do buy, sells, or trades on that platform will be more than happy to throw those things in there. Um, and I think that that's something that we don't think about, which I also have written down here to discuss, is throw-ins. Is that if I'm buying $50 or $100 worth of cards from somebody, I definitely I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't ask for some throw-ins because I'm giving them the courtesy of number one, moving cards. Like at the end of the day, they're trying to sell. So if they're trying to sell, I should be asking them like, hey, do you have some random V cards, some random trainer gallery cards, some random things like that? And those are other ways for you to build up your inventory and to build up your collection monetary wise. And most people will be gracious enough to throw those things in there. And if somebody buys things from you, yeah, throw in a couple things. Like I'll throw in when people order from us, I'll throw in random trainer gallery cards. I'll throw in some Japanese V Star stuff. I'll throw in a Tops card. I'll throw in stuff like that. And I think that's just a good part of the community so that we're all kind of helping each other reach our goals, so to speak.
So, by the way,
Yeah.
if anybody in chat does have any questions for us, we're not ending it. Just so you guys all know, but just if anybody does have a question for me or Paul, let us know in chat. But what do you think about, as for example, if you see or like for example today, celebrations? I seen the Charizard and Sylveon boxes still on the shelves. Do you think that with these sets that are being always printed out, even though they were already printed in 2021, do you think that
Yeah,
that they'll still do good for long term if people
for
want to
sure.
do? Because since
Yeah, for
it's like a
sure.
25th anniversary set, even though it's mass produced, you think that it's still worth it?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I say yes to this always. And the reason is this is that number one, once something is stopped it stops being printed, from that moment, that's the most that's ever going to be out there, right? Every single time somebody opens something after that, there's going to be less and less and less of it available. Take the Charizard UPCs, for example. Printed to absolute hell. So many of them are there. But guess what? Every single good collector and person that's kind of big in the Pokemon community is saying this is one of the best long term investments that you can make. Why? Because number one, it's Charizard. Number two, the value that you're getting in that box, it's pretty much like a. I heard somebody use this recently, and I really like the analogy. When you're buying into the S&P 500 in the stock market, it's a mixture of all the best companies, the 500 best companies out in the world, or at least in the U.S. and whatnot, in that one thing, the S&P 500. When you're buying into a Charizard UPC, you're buying into a lot of the best sets from the Sword and Shield era because there's a distribution of packs from all of those sets in that box. Added on top of it that you're getting a playmat and sleeves and Charizard promos and this and that. When people start to realize the value that's there, they will understand the value has to go up. Why are Charizard UPCs starting to slightly tick up right now? Because it has 3 Evolving Skies packs. Evolving Skies packs right now are 750 each, right? Why are these celebration boxes worth it at $20? Because it has 4 celebration packs that are selling for 650 each on TCG Player. So right there, you've already made money. If you were just to buy that Charizard V, Lance's Charizard V box for $20 from Pokemon Center when it was restocked, just those 4 celebrations packs makes you more than money than you spent. Add on top of it that you're getting 2 Sword and Shield packs. It doesn't matter what set. They could be the worst sets possible. They're still worth 350 each. So these boxes have to go up in price because supply always goes down. Like naturally, that's what happens. Supply over time goes down. So it might not go up, it might not go up as quickly as people expect it to be. That's a different conversation. How quickly do you think these boxes are going to go up? I think it's going to take a lot of time. But will they go up, and will they go up to really big numbers? Yes, 100%. It's a Charizard box. It's celebrations, which is a 25th anniversary. There are certain cards and celebrations that probably will only be printed in that way. When you're starting to look at that Umbreon, the hollow Umbreon, for example, Shining Magikarp, Garchomp, the Zard, obviously. You have certain cards and celebrations that won't really be accessible any other way. Then that box has to go up by definition because the supply will only go down.
So, since I have already a master of celebrations, do you think
Yeah.
that it will be worth it to just sell every single that I get? So say that I get so say that because tomorrow I'm opening up this celebrate 8K, even though I'm at 7,999 right now. So say that I pull a Zard. Would it be worth it to sell it, or would it just be, or would it be worth it to just keep right now? Because I say that because whenever it like one of my viewers, I won't say who it is, but he likes like sports cards, and there's this one player like, oh, because I asked him, I was like, oh, are you gonna open up any product? Because he's a sealed collector and he doesn't want to open anything. After he's like, no, I want to probably just keep it sealed and I'll buy it. And after I told him that singles are technically an investment as well, because
Yeah, for sure.
if there's only, say, in 20 years, if there's only of these, I know that this is unrealistic, but so say that you bought it for 20 at the time and now it's 20,000. That's also an investment that could be worth
Sure.
more than the box itself in 20 years.
100%. I'm with you. Look, I think that singles, there are singles to invest in, but I think sometimes we inflate the investability of singles and we deflate the investability of sealed. And I'll tell you why. It's just funner to open things. Period. Like when you are your favorite YouTubers, your favorite streamers, what are they doing constantly?
Opening packs?
They're opening packs. Where are they getting these packs from?
Walmart, Target, TCG Player, online, wherever.
So sealed product. The only way you can get packs is from sealed product at the end of the day, right? So naturally, when somebody wants to be a sealed collector, they are basically saying that everybody that's out there that's opening up packs is going to keep opening up packs, which is only going to make the value of my stuff go up. Why? Because it's no longer sealed. Mine is sealed, theirs is not. Now you have the other side of the argument, which is the raw singles. The raw singles, the reason why people are opening up these packs is because they're chasing certain raw singles. So definitely the only reason why we're chasing these certain raw singles is because they're hard to get. My argument is this, is once the price of packs get to a certain point where it doesn't make sense for me to open up that many packs to chase after a raw single card, you are better off simply purchasing that raw single card and just letting it go up naturally over time. The perfect example of this is a Moonbreon. People will open up Evolving Skies packs till the day that they die, trying to chase a Moonbreon. And some people will be luckier than others. But guess what? For most of us that have opened up several hundred Evolving Skies packs, we might not get that Moonbreon. It would have been much more economical for us to buy 2, 3, or 4 Moonbreons in the amount of time and money that we spent opening up packs of Evolving Skies. Right? So
Completely right.
we definitely have to understand a card like Moonbreon is a modern grail that will have long-term investability and long-term want. It's only going to go up. Like I understand people are thinking it's going to go down to 300, it's going to go down to 200. I can never see that happening.
The Machamp went up to 115 and it hasn't gone down since. Okay.
I mean,
It's at 110 right now, but I mean, 250. Yeah. The
Blaziken's almost 250, and that's chilling range. And that gets me into a separate part, which we can talk about right after this, which is I think that people are underestimating certain sets. But a set like Evolving Sky,
Especially
if
battle
you are
styles though too.
chasing certain, yeah, if you're chasing certain alt arts in Evolving Skies,
Just buy it.
do not open on packs. Like $7.50. I think that the last statistic that I saw for Moonbreon is like 1 in every 1,500 packs. Just do the math. 1 in every 1,500 packs. If I just pull up the calculator and I say 1,500, let's say you get the packs for $7 each. That's $10,500. Divide that by, let's say you get Moonbreons for $600. That's 17 Moonbreons that you can have over the chance of just pulling one. Does that mean, like, obviously, if somebody opens up 1,500 packs, they might get 6 or 7 Moonbreons, but I don't think that they're going to get 17 Moonbreons. I don't think somebody opening up 1,500 packs is going to get 17 Moonbreons.
Yeah.
But somebody that uses that money that somebody else spent on 1,500 packs can go use that money and buy 17 Moonbreons and be guaranteed their investment. And that's why I talk about with raw single cards, there are certain sets where it is worth it to open. But when you're chasing just one card out of a set, like Vivid Voltage, you're only chasing Chunkachu, just go buy the Chunkachu. Like,
it's stop
opening up packs. Yeah, it's not smart. You're like, at the price of the pack, at the price of the Chunkachu, you're telling yourself that in 40 packs or less, you're going to get a Chunkachu.
And that's just unrealistic, though, too.
It's unrealistic. You're hoping that it's coming out perfectly centered. You're hoping it doesn't have a print line. You're hoping it doesn't have any whitening. Exactly. You can go buy a perfectly near mint, if not mint, copy of a Chunkachu from somebody off of a Discord or somebody at an LGS or even your LGS for $130 to $150 today. Right? So these are things that people forget. And guess where you're going to get that money for that $130 or that $150? You're going to get the extra money that you need from the bulk that you've been sitting on, which is why I always bring up the bulk. Your bulk turns into your chase cards. It doesn't have to turn into packs. Yeah. LGSs love it when people turn their bulks into just buying packs because they know it's going to be very difficult for that person to actually get something. Exactly. So for them, it's free money. It's a cycle of free money. Versus if you just keep your money in credit, and normally with credit, like I said, they're going to give you 5 to 15% more for your bulk or whatever it is that you're trading in when you're doing it in credit. That matters a lot when they start having good singles that you want. Like recently, I went to one of my LGSs and they were sitting on some hidden, some Cynthia full arts for 95 to 105 each, which is fair for the market. Guess what I did? I took a 5K box of bulk, went and gave 5K worth of bulk for Cynthia. Which one's going to go up in price over time, Cynthia. The Cynthia or the bulk? like the Cynthia. So
like they're literally common cards that sit under your bed, in your closet, or whatever. Like I have my bulk right here as my table. It's my table for my slabs, my rare cards. There's anything. My packs as well.
Exactly.
It's a table.
Exactly right. And I think that's the big point, right? Is that the big point is we don't understand that we're surrounded in Pokemon, you're surrounded by money. Almost everything in Pokemon is sellable. Code cards are sellable. Even to an extent, obviously with more vintage packs, you can sell the pack without the cards, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Like people literally buy like base set and fossil set just pack arts. Exactly. So everything in this game is sellable to the right person and for the right price. Just some people will sit on things for so long that it loses its value because they just think that everything goes up. No, there is always a time to sell and there's a time to buy. So with bulk, you just have to do the due diligence of sorting through your bulk, finding out what is worth money. Like I said, the easiest way is to go on TCG Player. In the top left corner of TCG Player's homepage, there's like a drop-down menu. If you click on Pokemon from there and you scroll down to advanced search and it says rarity, just click on common, click on uncommon, and click on rare. Scroll down, price greater than, I normally put like 50 cents. You could put a quarter if you want. And I just take a look. And a lot of the first cards that are going to come up are going to be modern cards from sets that you're probably opening. Oh, the first 9 cards are all really from Brilliant Stars or sooner. You see what I'm saying?
I never knew that,
I guarantee,
actually.
Yeah, and I
Damn.
guarantee you're sitting on comb fees. I guarantee you're sitting on mana fees. Energy recyclers are $1.50 for people that open up battle styles. You know, even Scoop Up Net.
Damn.
Scoop Up Net is not even in rotation, but people use it in expanded, not standard. So they need them. 60 cents each. Obviously, you're gonna have some vintage commons, but you know, very few people have those. A rare Charizard from Vivid Voltage is $2.50. I guarantee people have some of those in their bulk. Um, you know, so these are just things that we have, tools at our disposal. Curlias from Silver Tempest. If you just look up Curlia from Silver Tempest, and this is why knowing the competitive side of things is important, is a 35-cent card, and Gardevoir is about to be the best deck in the format, so it's only going to go up. So even for me, I had like 30 Curlias listed. I took them all off of TCG Player because I know after the next couple tournaments, they're just going to skyrocket. So it's just knowing the trading card game environment, which brings me to the next source that I would use. If you go to limitlesstcg.com, this is a really good tool to use. Limitless TCG. They'll talk about the best decks. And when you click on those best decks, you'll see the trainers that are in there, the hollows that are in there, you know, cards that are 3 and 4 of in those deck lists, cards that you see a lot of. And you can even search the database by cards and search a certain card, and you'll see how often it comes up. And that will give you a good indicator of, oh, this is a card that a lot of people want.
Wow.
So yeah, I just think there's a lot of tools that people don't know about, and they
Yeah, for
just think that the only
sure.
way to make money in Pokemon is, you know, I need to pack an Iono. It's the only way that I'm going to make money in this game is packing an Iono. Very few of us are going to pack an Iono. Like, very few people are going to pack an Iono. If everybody was packing an Iono, guess what? Iono wouldn't be the thing that we all want to pack. Like,
Yeah, like at card party, like out of like 1,500 packs, I think three people got it. Three
see what I'm
people.
saying?
That's an
Yeah,
average
see
of
what I'm
like
saying?
500. One in, and
Yeah,
that's a 1 in 500 chance of pulling it.
and this is exactly why, if you look, and this is something else that I really wanted to touch upon today, is people don't understand the other places that money is. Like, for example, Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes. From the second
Yeah.
that you buy an Elite Trainer box from Pokemon Center for these more recent sets, you're almost guaranteed going to double your money within 2 months because they sell out. It's what happens right now. So if you were to look up even promos from Pokemon Center exclusive cards. Let's say that you bought a Miraidon ETB Pokemon Center exclusive from the Pokemon Center for $59.99. Okay, that promo that you're guaranteed to get right now, the cheapest one on TCG Player is $35. Just the promo. You didn't have to pack anything. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to simply purchase an ETB. You were guaranteed $35 back in your pocket.
Yeah, like I opened up my cause we bought the Pokemon Center Evolving Skies box for 100 at the Long Beach Collecticon last year. Well, I mean
Yeah.
it was also worth it because Rev rated us, but I mean and I pulled the Noivern V Alter from that, and that was really the only good
Boom.
thing that I got. Sure, it's worth 160 or not for one, but that's worth it though. Well, for me of course, but as well, but like
Yeah,
so
yeah, and that's the point. That's the
yeah.
point is that you're looking at Pokemon Center ETBs, like a lot of these things. And I'll be honest with you, what I do every single time a new set drops, I immediately buy 4 ETBs from Pokemon Center. And the best thing about it is that they're pre-orders, so you don't get charged
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly.
So you don't get charged until they
Like the
actually
Pokemon
ship.
151. They sold out first day. ETBs,
I already
I
bought
should
four.
have got no. I thought that they charged you on spot, and I didn't know that, or else I would have pre-ordered two.
Exactly. And I think that
And
these are things that people don't know about is, you know, and not just that, but then add in, forget the pre-orders. Let's say that the
yeah,
ETBs are still available. Now add in the fact that you can go buy an illustration promo code from eBay for $1, and you're automatically going to get $20 worth of value. The illustration cards, the Bulbasaur, the Greninja, and the Arcanine, if you were just to look at how much they're going for on TCG Player, each one right now, I can do a quick search. Illustration.
like I'm seeing them sell for like 110 for one ETB, but that's all FOMO though. I mean, Pokemon they have to at least restock once more because the set releases
They
in
will.
late
They will.
September. They will.
Yeah, they will. They
And
definitely will.
then
That's no question
and
about
then
it. No question
Pokemon
about it.
lately, I mean, they love money, so why wouldn't they print more as well?
100%. They're definitely going to print more, but they
Yeah.
also with Pokemon Center stuff. Normally they restock it 3 times, and that's normally kind of that's it. That's what happens. Going back to the illustration contest promos, the Bulbasaur selling for 550. The Arcanine is $9, and the Greninja I want to say is something similar to the Bulbasaur. So let's say $20 worth in value. You're getting that for free. So when you're buying a Pokemon Center ETB, for example, let's say it's not sold out. Let's say that the Rhydon one is back for $60, and you use one of those codes to get a pack of the illustration contest promos, you're now subtracting $20 off of the ETB, so you're going to get it for 40. Now subtract the promo. The promo is going for 30. So you're really getting all the packs, the sleeves, the ETB for $10.
Exactly.
It's nuts. People do not understand this. And you're allowed to use the code for the promos once every week. It's free money. It is free money.
Like for the
Obviously
the special. Did you get any of those for the special delivery Charizard?
Of course, I'm sitting on like 10 special delivery Charizards.
And yeah,
right, and I'm not gonna.
I bought one code off of eBay for $7 because I didn't get it. I should have probably like gotten more. Probably thinking of it now, but I mean, there's like 100 now ish.
It's not 100. It's like 40. The card right now is like 40, and it's gonna take some time for it to go back up.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's gonna go up. Like it's Charizard, and it's a promo.
Any card will. Any card will.
Yeah, it's gonna go up.
But before we move on, you guys, make sure you guys do check out traders. This is some great this is some great info about the traders. Thank you for sharing it with me and chat as well, guys. He is starting up a channel. His link is in the description as well. Also, thank you to Gatchu earlier for the 1 gifted, Craig with the premium, and the 5 gifted as well. Thank you guys for that. If anyone does have any questions for me and traders, let us know. But this is some really great info, and I've already gotten the reversal energy, and it's reverse here. Like some cards from Paldea that I'm gonna try it out on TCG Player. After.
Boom.
So thank
you. Those are
$1.50
right there. Boom.
Yeah, you guys go check him out. This is some great info. Like a lot of he has a lot of knowledge, way more than I do. You guys, for sure, go check him out. But
no, I appreciate that. The other thing that I definitely want to touch upon, if we have the time to do so.
No. Is I have time. Go ahead. I have time. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Is with modern sets, I think people aren't understanding where the money is in the modern sets. So if I was to ask you, let's just, I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, but if I was to ask you in Paldea Evolved, where would you want to invest a lot of your money in the set in terms of the single cards? What cards would you go out and purchase? Let's say I gave you let's say I gave you $250 today. What cards would you go purchase from Paldea Evolved?
I would wait on Iono because that should drop as more and more as more and more enter the market. That'll obviously go down. So not Iono. Probably try it with Chain Pal, probably for sure, since that is an ultra rare that might go up. I don't know. I'm not very big in the comp, but based off if that's already $10, I mean that may go like either way around as well. But probably as well, like for example, I pulled this card right here. And when I saw, and when my it was Crusaders who told me in chat, it was like 1347. So I was like, wow. So maybe some art rares, because I know in Scarlet and Violet base there's some art rares that are $10, like the Riolu. I know that.
There you go. You got to the right point. You got to the right point. Is the art rares right now is where all the money is in terms of growth. If you want to talk about growth potential for Scarlet and Violet specifically, for base and Paldea Evolved, it's actually in the art rares. The cards that are keeping the most stable pricing in both sets are the art rares. Guess what card went from $15 to $70? It was an art rare Magic card. Guess what card went from $12?
Yeah.
Right? Guess what card went from $12 to $50? It was an art rare Tyranitar. right?
Because they're
It
hard.
wasn't
Because
the
they're hard to
SARs.
pull, and the artwork's nice, or at least in my opinion, I think that the Magikarp's probably the best art rare that we've had.
I mean,
Probably.
I agree with you, and I think that the bigger thing, and this is why I think that Paldea Evolved is a really, really, really strong set. Number
It is.
one,
It is.
it has a lot of cards that a lot of people want. That's number one. Number two, there's so many cards in the set that it's not the ratios are not hard to hit, but getting the right card in that ratio is hard to hit. So the fact that there's like 80 something art rares, and one of them's a Magikarp and one of them's a Tyranitar, that's why the math is so hard to hit a Magikarp and Tyranitar. But for every one Magikarp that you'll hit, you're gonna hit 78 other art rares that are gonna make up for the price. All the art rares are worth money. I'm selling art rares like crazy. Fucocos for $10, Sprigatitos for $8, Pseudo Widows for $6. You
Oh,
know,
oh,
it,
oh,
it's
oh. I just thought of a question. So sorry to cut you off on that,
yeah,
but
you're good. You're good.
so as in for art rares though, as you're saying how card shops like when you trade in bulk for packs, if you sell your bulk on TCG Player, you get money, get a Paldea box. You say you get Magikarp and some art rares. Do you think that it'll be worth to sell them now, and then just have it as a cycle, even though you might not pull the exact same cards again, but would you as well?
So I think it depends on what your goals are. Like my goals is are going to be different than yours. Like if there are certain cards that you are chasing,
Yeah,
you need to do whatever you need to do to get to that goal. So if you're chasing Moonbreon, for example,
that's tough though.
then you
That's
know,
real tough.
yeah. So you're not gonna, you know that the best way for you to get a
Is
Moonbreon
to buy
is
it.
somehow to gross $600 worth of value, whether it's cards or cash. You need to do that. So if you pack good cards and you need Moonbreon, Moonbreon's going to keep going up. So you need to get that cash today. So it would be in your best interest to sell those cards immediately, get the extra cash, and move it into a Moonbreon.
Exactly.
But if your collecting goal is no, I'm just trying to master set, then no, you keep the Magic card because you know how hard it is to pack, right? I'm not master setting Paldea Evolved personally right now because I just think that some of these cards are a little too inflated in my
Yeah.
opinion. I think that it's a set that I definitely do want to master set, but not yet. I want to master set it once things settle a little bit more. I think that Magikarp is going to come down to around 50 eventually. I don't think it's going to go below that. I think Tyranitar is going to settle at right around 20. I think the Raichu is going to settle at right around 15. Raichu was just 30 2 days ago, and it's already down at 22 on TCG
Yeah.
Player. So,
Yeah. I see it
you know,
today. Is it playable at all?
the Raichu is not playable, but it's like it's almost like a play on the sleepy Tyranitar. For some reason, just
Oh
like Pokemon that
yeah,
everybody knows,
yeah. Because
and
it's
he's
like
sleeping.
floating in like some room, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's a really nice art, and honestly, the artwork that's in this set is beautiful. When you're looking at the starter Pokemon, they're all stories, so it makes you want to collect all three. Like you can't just have Skeledirge. You need Fuecoco, you need the Skeledirge,
Yeah.
and you need the guy in the middle. I forgot Crocodor, or yeah, that guy.
I have it right
You
here.
know,
It's Crocolar, I think. Yeah,
yeah, Crocolar. You
Crocolar.
need all three. Yeah, exactly. And when you look at the stories that Pokemon is really trying to create behind their art rares, their stories. So it makes you as a fan and as a collector, you don't
It
just
makes
want
you
one.
want them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
because
think
like
that
I've
that's where
also
it finally
because
got.
like sorry, go ahead. My bad.
No, no, you're good. And that's what I'm saying is that I think in terms of what Pokemon is doing now is that they're letting their artists have some freedom in terms of developing stories with the Pokemon. And for us, where these Pokemon are brand new to all of us, like just until last year, none of us even knew what the heck a Fuecoco was, right? Until Scarlet and Violet
Yeah.
got released.
No,
This
like
was
what
the
is
best way
this?
for them to introduce these Pokemon to us was through beautiful artworks and cards that are not very easy to get. So I really do think that a set like Paldea Evolved has so much going for it. You're looking at the basic energy. Water energies, that Chin Pow deck is no joke. If somebody wants to bling out that deck, they need 12 gold rare water energies. Those things are $12 each. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's
do.
one of the
Yeah.
most expensive gold rares in the set. The only other gold rare in the set that's more expensive than it is Super Rod because it's very playable, right? And I think these are things that we don't think about. Boss's orders. The Getsis Boss's Order is a beautiful card. It's a beautiful card. Both versions of the card are beautiful cards. So I do think that a set like Paldea Evolved, when people over focused on a card like Iono or a card like Magikarp or a card like Tyranitar, more power to you if you're able to pack them. But that's not where I would focus. If I had $250 today and you told me, Paul, you can only buy singles, you cannot buy sealed, I'm going to be buying a lot of those art rares. I'm going to be buying a lot of those art rares, the Pseudo Widows. The Miss Magius is $7.50. You know, it's like the Frigibax is $10. Baxcaliburs are coming up on 15. That's where I'm putting my money. And I think it's very similar when you're looking at Scarlet and Violet base. If you were to go to Scarlet and Violet base, you'll see Curlia, Ralts, Slowpoke. Those types of cards are the ones that are consistently $10 to $15. They're not dropping. They're staying right there. So yeah, that's just me for the mid-tier stuff. And that's why I'm very bullish on trainer gallery cards from the Sword and Shield era. I think that trainer galleries from the Sword and Shield era long term are going to do really, really well. I'll give you a very simple example. Look at the cards that are blowing up right now for Sun and Moon. They're all tag team cards or cards that have a trainer in it. As collectors, we like it when multiple characters are in an artwork. That's just what we like, right?
Like, have you seen like those VMAX Climax those character rares? Have you seen them like getting just pumped? It's like absolutely just pumped.
Big time. And I think that that's also understanding that us as collectors, like this is why I jumped on a lot of these tag team cards, you know, in September and October of 2022, because I knew for a fact that these cards were undervalued by a long shot. And guess what cards just pumped over the past 6 months, 200, 300%? Those cards.
Or character
exactly.
Character rares.
Yeah, character rares, alternate arts, things like that from the Sun and Moon era. I was buying Solgaleo and Lunalas for 50 and just reselling them for 250 just this last week. And you're talking about 6 months.
That is crazy.
Yeah, where else can you turn $50 into 250 in 6 months legally outside of a casino? Right? It's like, you know, it's just understanding what collectors look for. And, you know, I think that that's a big part of it. With the trainer gallery cards, I think cards like the trainer gallery Umbreons, Sylveons are going to do very well long term. Very, very well, because they're very important Pokemon, number one. And number two, they're very beautiful cards. And I think that the reason why they're still low is because there's plenty of those sets available. But the second that we don't have as much of those sets accessible to us, boom, double and triple value.
Like I've like recently, like I used to like only like focus on like the value of cards, but I've learned to like focus more on the actual like artwork of the card as well. What would you say for, as in like, what's better, as in English or Japanese, as in trying to, if you want to like make value on one, because how Japanese at least guarantee, like they guarantee at least a full art or better, like you have that chance of pulling the Miriam in Japanese, the Iono Japanese, like for like at Card Party, there's one booth they're selling Snow Hazard boxes for 50 a piece. We bought 3 of these and I pulled in my first box the Squawkabilly full art. Sure, that's not the best card, but still,
you got a full art, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice card. And sure, it may not be $20 more than whatever, but it's still nice. But in English though, you're guaranteed more than one. Which one would you say is kind of better?
So there's a couple of things there that we have to kind of discuss, and I think the first thing is liquidity. Liquidity. What we mean by liquidity is how quickly can I move that product, right?
Yeah.
For Japanese cards specifically, I don't know about you, but a lot of people that I know, when they are looking for Japanese, they're only looking for like the waifus for the most part,
because they're worth money.
Exactly.
Like
so
did you see that Battle Day Lily sell for 100K?
Exactly.
But it was unpaid for, but so that was kind of whack.
I mean, even if it's unpaid for, I think just the idea that it even went up that high is kind of insane. But my point behind liquidity, and this is even for English cards, is something could be worth a certain dollar amount, but until somebody pays for it and I have the money in my hand, that's just talk. Right? That's just talk. Like you could tell me, hey, Paul, your binder is worth 5K. Until you put 5K in my hands, that's just talk. How much I can sell it for is one thing. How much it might be worth is another, right? So with
Yeah,
Japanese
exactly.
singles, I know that there's certain Japanese singles that are skyrocketing, but we all know what those certain ones are. And guess why they're skyrocketing? Because they're not easy to get. And they're from sets where the booster boxes are ridiculously expensive. You look at the Umbreon, $1,700 single for Japanese. Eevee
Oh,
Hero booster boxes, Eevee Hero booster boxes are like close to 500 right now.
do you know that one box with the Espeon VMAX at the promo?
Yeah, yeah.
We could have got it last year for 600, and now they're 2K.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
like
see what I'm saying?
whenever I
And
wanted, oh man,
and
when
that's why
I
I'm saying
seen
it's
that, cause
important.
somebody posted it on Insta, like I was like, oh no way,
Yeah,
like
and that's why
oh
I'm saying it's
man,
important.
like
It's important for us to understand, like when we're looking at a set, and this is why when we're looking at a set, we're looking at the Pokemon that are in a set. Like if there's an Umbreon in a set for modern Pokemon, and this is something that people don't understand. The younger Pokemon collector today, when you ask them what's your favorite Pokemon, very few of them are going to say Zard. Zard is like kind of like you're more seasoned. You've been around Pokemon for a while if you're going to say Zard, right? Most of the younger collectors today are going to say Umbreon, right? I even heard some kids say Miraidon now, and I'm like, how is this dude just came out looking like a motorcycle, and you're already telling me Miraidon's your favorite Pokemon? Come on, man. Like, let's be serious, right? So we have to understand that the modern and the younger generation is going to care less and less about vintage. It's the fact. Why? Because the shows have changed now where you're going to see less and less of those Pokemon. The cards are changing now where you're going to see less and less of those Pokemon. And frankly, vintage product is becoming more and more scarce. So a lot of the YouTubers and big platforms that were opening a lot of vintage product are not going to be able to do that because they're not going to have as much access to it. And I think that that's something that's really, really important that we need to understand. What Pokemon does the younger generation really enjoy? They enjoy evolutions like crazy. When you ask any young collector, hey, what are you looking to trade for? Almost every time I ask somebody this question, evolutions. Do you have any evolutions?
yeah. Or
It's
like when
crazy.
I went to trade night at card party, like kids they were super picky on cards. Like, oh no, I'm fine. Could I trade for that Altar Umbreon V? And I was like, damn, like you're like 9, like whoa. And after like they're like really picky, so they're not gonna really like want like oh like okay like a hollow rare Dragonite from Team Rocket. I like the card, and they probably won't.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And I think that that's a very important point, right? Is we have to understand that the newer generations are going to start liking things different than a little bit of the older crowd, the ones that have been around Pokemon longer. You know, Gengar, for example, is one of the few Pokemon that almost like transcends that generational shift. But I really do honestly think that Charizard is as great as Charizard is. He'll always go down as like the GOAT for sure. But if you were to ask anybody born after 2010, right, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Yeah.
I think 1 or 2 out of 10 are going to say Zard. I think others will say Mewtwo. I think some will say Mew. I think if you're going to talk about older Pokemon, I think they're going to say Mewtwo, Mew, Lugia,
For sure, Lugia.
Gengar.
For sure, Lugia.
Yeah, because they don't want to look like the poser, man. It's such an easy answer to say Zard. Like, you look like a poser and you just tell me your
Yeah.
favorite Pokemon is Zard. Like,
It
that's the
seems
bottom line.
like it seems just like so simple to like to say that, even though like Azard's like if you pull Azard from base set, it's 350. I'm okay. People they would rather want a Moonbreon than a base set Zard. So it's like
Exactly. And it tells you, look, it tells you something. Like, for example, if you look at the Altar Zard from Brilliant Stars, if you want my honest opinion, let's say I didn't know what the prices were. If you told me which artwork is nicer, Moonbreon or Zard Altar, honest to God, I would tell you the Zard Altar.
because
The
also
art,
it's 10K and a 10 while the Moonbreon's 1K and a 10. So if you look at it either way, people are still because either way they might not know or they might know, but they'll think of it always long term. But the Zard will always do better long term as well.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But I do think the artwork matters, and that's why I think
No,
that
for
with
sure.
Pokemon today, if you look at the artwork, you can tell Pokemon has made a conscious effort
Exactly.
of making the artworks way more dynamic. Like they stopped focusing on just drawing a Pokemon, and now they're almost drawing a painting. Like I'm looking at a Gardevoir EX right now,
Yeah.
SAR from Scarlet and Violet base. That's a mural. That's like a legitimate painting, right?
And like it
Um,
also tells a story all
a
mashed up into
story.
one. So
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that's
And
what
I think
people
that that's
want.
a big point.
Like that looks good in people's binders. Like for the Coco, for the Squirtle in 151, people they're gonna want to see that. They say, "Oh, I have Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. That looks so cool in my binder side by side."
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that you're understanding what I'm saying now, but
Oh yeah, I
unfortunately
do.
there's way too many people out there that don't get how important artwork is when it comes to collectability in Pokemon. Like, just because a card might be hard to get, if it looks like crap, nobody wants it. Like that's the bottom line. Like
Yeah,
it's a sad thing, but it's the truth. Like, why would I want a slab of a card that's hard to get but that looks terrible? Like it doesn't make sense.
yeah.
It doesn't. There are exceptions to that rule, obviously, because something is that rare. But most of the time, when something is desirable, it's because it looks good on display. That's the truth of the matter. So I'm really happy that Pokemon is doing this, but I think it is important for us as the collectors and as people that are trying to build up our collections and our value to also understand this. Because until we start to understand where money is in Pokemon, the only thing anybody cares about is something called an Iono or something called an SAR Miriam or whatever it is. And I think that those are the worst places to put your money in Pokemon right now, like by far. Um, yeah, I think that you would be better off putting your money in bulk, if you want my honest opinion. Yeah.
And I
So
know that you said that you had to go at one. You said right.
yeah,
I
right around one. Yeah. If there are any other questions from anybody that's viewing, I don't know who's
Yeah.
on and who's
If
not,
there's
but
any more, the masked Poke Trainer saying, thoughts on promo single values.
yeah. So promos, I think it depends on how exclusive they are. So the Pokemon Center promos are all around $30 right now, and I think that that's something that you have to look at. If you look at the Pikachu for Pokemon Center for this last set, Paldea Evolved, I want to say it's like 27. I would honestly, if you aren't gonna open up a Pokemon Center ETB, I would purchase that card,
Because
and I'll tell
did
you
you
why.
see the what was that, the Miraidon promo from the
Yeah, the
Pokemon Center
Miraidon's
Scarlet?
35 bucks.
Isn't
Yeah,
it like
the Miraidon.
40 ish?
I mean, the market price is like 46, but I think the cheapest one available. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. The cheapest one available is 41.
That's
So
crazy
that's
too, just
insane.
for that one promo.
It's insane,
Yeah.
and I think that that's something to understand with promos as well. Just to quickly talk about this, is a lot of people that are collecting Pokemon Center ETBs don't want to open them,
Because they're
right?
rare and exclusive. That's why.
They're rare and exclusive, and they're only going to go up in value. So guess what? Those promos that are in those ETBs, there's not going to be too many of them around because people don't want to open the ETB up. So the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs are naturally going to be very difficult. Not just because they weren't printed like crazy, but also because a lot of people are sitting on cases of those Pokemon Center ETBs not wanting to open them. And so long as those stay sealed, those promos are not going to be out in the market. So even if Pokemon Center comes out and says, yeah, we sold 10,000 Paldea Evolved Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, does that mean that there's going to be 10,000 of those Pikachu exclusive promos out there? No, because I can guarantee you 8 out of every 10 ETBs that Pokemon Center sold are staying sealed.
All right. I was talking to my dad, but no, I completely agree because like also how they didn't have any promos for the Evolving Skies ones. If they made
Yep.
one for like say for example, if they how they made the Espeon VMAX a promo in Japanese, they could have made just for example like because it's rumored to be that the Mewtwo, Snorlax, and the Mew EX SAR from 151 will be made into promos so that it's easier for collectors to get the card.
Mm-hmm.
If they make that like for like the exact same way for Evolving Sky, since that's a very wanted set now, then that could have boosted up a ton of sales maybe, and that's a maybe.
I mean, look, it could have, but look, but Evolving Skies was never going to need anything to boost up its sale because
Yeah,
it's Evolving Skies, right? I think that's more so. I think the reason why they brought back promos for Scarlet and Violet is because it was a new generation of Pokemon, so people were already suspicious. Like people were already kind of going into that set like silver borders, new Pokemon that we don't know about. I'm not really vibing this. So by them adding in promos that like people can actually enjoy, that made it a little bit more palatable. Like it wasn't as bitter of a taste in the mouth, if that makes sense. Um, and when you're looking at the promos, like I'm looking at the Scarlet and Violet promos right now. The Ampharos EX is 650. Like I don't even know how much that collector box is going for, but it can't be that much. Um, I need to look closely at it, but it can't be that expensive. Like let me just Google this real quick. Ampharos EX box.
and that's Ampharos EX box. Is it? What is that from?
I want to say it was like a collector's EX box or like a starter deck.
I
Yeah, it
think
was it
I've
was a
heard
it
of
was a
it.
battle
I
deck.
might have.
It was a battle deck from Pokemon Center that was $10. $10, and the promo by itself was 650 right now.
650.
Right, 650.
650.
Ampharos
No dot.
six no $6.50. Sorry.
I was like,
Yeah,
what?
no, 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 no. That would have been way too crazy. Lucario EX. The Lucario EX.
Yeah. Those ones, yeah.
Yeah, the Lucario EX is $7.50, right? Like you have so many of these
That's
promos
crazy.
that it doesn't make sense that they are expensive as they are. But yeah, to answer that person's question, I do think that promos are always going to go up. Like promos don't go down. Why? Because things like this don't get reprinted often, especially if they're exclusive. So Pokemon Center promos, I would buy. Like if somebody told me, "Hey Paul, I have this Pikachu Pokemon Center promo from Paldea Evolved and I'll sell it to you for $20," I will buy that today, and I'll buy them in a large quantity because I don't think there's going to be that many out there. People are going to sit on their sealed ETBs until Kingdom Come. Yeah, so promo cards is definitely a good market. Even if you look at like pre-release and staff cards, and this is another thing why people should care about competitive. Go to pre-releases of sets because if you get a pre-release card, those cards go for a lot of money. And if you're able to purchase the staff pre-release cards from the staff that are working the event, staff cards are worth so much money. If I told you today, do you even know? I don't know if you know or not. A Lugia pre-release card, staff printed from Vivid Voltage.
I
If you went to
I
the
have I have two, but they aren't staff printed. Sadly, but
yeah, so I
aren't
have
they like
two as well that
130?
are
I
not
think.
staff printed. Yeah, I have two that are not staff printed, and those are like 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Now put a little staff on the bottom left of the card, right? And all of a sudden that card turns into $180.
Yeah, they're right here.
Yeah, I love that card. I have two in my binder right now. Lugia is my favorite Pokemon. So Lugia for me, I don't. When I get Lugia cards, I don't trade them or sell them.
I don't either.
I literally have the exact same two.
Like I have Lugia here, in every corner.
No, yeah, Lugia is my favorite Pokemon. So I'm with you on that. And yeah, that's what's crazy is if you look at the staff pre-release card for Lugia, you're looking at $150 to $180, right? And I think that that's like, if I was just to type in pre-release in Pokemon, watch what's gonna happen right now. This is kind of insane. Pre-release Curlias that come inside the deck for Silver Tempest, right? Boom, $4 each.
For in
Pre-release
those building battles.
in the build and battles, if you have a Silver Tempest stamped Curlia pre-release, $4. $4. And a bunch of us got a ton of those from GameStop when they made their big boo boo last month, right? So,
Oh yeah.
right,
Yeah.
you have if you have an XY promo, XY, which isn't even that long ago. You're talking about like 10-ish years ago. The Charizards were $650 for the pre-release Charizard from XY.
Yeah, and that's crazy too.
That's not even staff printed. That's just XY pre-release. The staff one's worth like 6K.
Crazy.
Nuts, nuts. So these are things, like I said, all I'm trying to do is give people as much information
Yeah,
as
the
they can
info. Yeah.
possibly, as they can possibly get to make the best decisions possible. We all work hard for our money and our value. So I think just having the right information at our disposal helps us increase that, especially when it comes to collecting and getting to our goals. So I really do appreciate you letting me come on and
Yeah,
discuss this.
anytime. And you've had some great info. I'll be down again anytime, man.
Same.
There's some great info as well.
Yeah, same, man. Anytime. Feel free to hit me up. And,
Yeah, for
we got
sure.
each other on Discord and Instagram now.
Sure.
So feel free to hit me up
Yeah.
and let me know.
Alright. But that is it, everyone. Thank you all who did stop by and stay to the end. Appreciate Gatchu as well with that one gifted, Craig as well with the premium and the 5 gifted as well. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let me just read a bunch out quick. The Mass Poke Trainer saying, I appreciate all of your info and advice. Crusaders is saying maybe even the new Obsidian Flames promo for the the Charmander promo too.
Yeah, the Charmander promo for the Pokemon Center exclusive is going to be easy $30 to $50, 100%.
I haven't received it yet, by the way. Fergie, it wasn't in my PO box when I checked yesterday, but yeah, you guys. But before we do go, make sure you guys do check out Traders of the Lost Ark. Crazy info and let's get him to 100 subs, you guys as well.
Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate it.
His link will be in the description. It is as well, you guys. If you guys haven't already checked him out as well. And yeah, and tomorrow we'll be live celebrating 8K subs as well. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. See